Lately, it is the legal problems, charges he was involved in a Southland murder that have taken the spotlight.
Everyone thinks they've got Snoop Dogg figured out. The laid-back humor, the effortless cool, the way he transformed hardcore rap into something that fits comfortably on daytime television. But lately, that familiar image feels thinner. The smile is still there when the cameras roll. Yet people close to the situation whisper that behind closed doors, things aren't as steady as they seem. Some are calling it a silent breakdown. It didn't explode overnight. At first, it was quiet talk about family strain, pressure piling up, stress that never really lets go. But those murmurs have grown louder, twisting into darker speculation.
It was some other shit, cuz. Then as soon as I walked out of there, I went in the bathroom and I threw up. And just laid on the floor for like 30 minutes. His mama came in there and cleaned me up.
You wake up.
Stories of personal losses, guarded secrets, and health scares that money and legacy can't fully protect against. The suggestion floating around now is unsettling. That the empire he built over decades may be weakening under the weight of everything he survived. What's most surprising is the angle no one saw coming. After outlasting court cases, industry wars, and cultural shifts, the belief among some observers is that the real battle may be internal, tied to family, lineage, and the consequences of a life lived in the spotlight, not taken down by rivals or the system, but strained by the very roots meant to keep him grounded. You wake up, and the conversation has shifted. It's no longer about legendary tracks or his relaxed presence on that televised singing competition. Instead, all eyes are on his daughter, Corey, and a medical crisis that hit without warning. The news sits heavy, raw, like a mark that hasn't had time to fade. In January 2024, she shared something almost impossible to process. She had suffered a major stroke at only 24 years old. It stopped people cold. We struggle to make sense of it because we're taught subconsciously.
It's only happening in Long Beach right now as far as me doing something for the community because that's where my heart lies at as far as straightening out my own neighborhood before I go elsewhere.
To see celebrities as untouchable, shielded from the kind of vulnerability that defines everyday life. But there she was, posting in real time, visibly shaken, crying, confused, asking a question that cut straight through the screen. I'm only 24. What did I do to deserve this? That moment landed hard, especially for parents. Because imagining a mother or father watching their child face something so terrifying feels unbearable. And before the shock could even settle, the story deepened. Weeks turned into months, and her name surfaced again, this time with news of a premature birth. A baby arriving nearly 3 months early. Small, delicate, fighting from the very first breath. For someone who's already lived with lupus since childhood, it felt like yet another impossible trial stacked on top of the last. This is a chapter people are holding on to now. The one filling comment sections with prayers, concern, and uneasy speculation. And it raises a haunting question. How much can one family endure before it starts to show? Because this isn't a distant memory or an old headline resurfacing. It's happening now, unfolding in real time as we scroll, refresh, and watch. And the pattern feels relentless. That's when the murmurs grow louder. What's happening away from the cameras? Why does survival seem to come with such a heavy price? And this is where the story stops being clean. Because you can't look at Snoop Dogg's present without dragging along the weight of everything he's already survived. He came of age in an era where death wasn't abstract. It was part of the environment, an industry, and a neighborhood where funerals were common and prison sentences felt inevitable. His own life nearly veered off course before it had the chance to fully take shape. In the mid-1990s, he found himself standing in a Los Angeles courtroom, staring down a first-degree charge tied to shooting that threatened to erase his future overnight. Cameras tracked every move. Headlines speculated freely. For a moment, it looked like the story would end right there, but it didn't. What should have been a full stop somehow became a...
She stepped up as my wife and handled that. And there's been many times where I've been at my lowest, and she's always been the strongest to get me back up to like, get back out there. You gotta get back out there and do what you do. Don't worry about what's happening over here. I'm gonna handle that.
Another paragraph. And when he walked away from that moment, something in him shifted. The music softened. The posture changed. The chaos that once felt glorified slowly gave way to survival mode. Still, the losses didn't stop coming. One of the most devastating blows arrived with the murder of Tupac Shakur. Not just a collaborator, but close friend and cultural force who should have been here to age alongside him, to reflect, to rewrite the narrative together. Then came the death of Biggie Smalls, the intensifying coast-to-coast tension, the paranoia, the constant calculation of loyalty and risk. Snoop wasn't watching history from the sidelines. He was inside it, moving carefully, knowing one wrong decision could cost him everything. For years, those moments felt distant. Old footage, archived interviews, tragedies filed under hip-hop history. But now, looking back, they feel less like isolated events and more like early fractures, experiences that hardened something inside him long before the public noticed. It's not just that he made it out alive. It's what that kind of survival quietly takes from a person. And the pain didn't remain in the past or among legends. It found its way into his own family. In 2019, his eldest son poured.
I believed him because he wasn't talking just to be talking. I felt he was also coming straight because there was a big war behind that. A war that they lost. And I think it was a war that destroyed their neighborhood.
Welcome to baby boy named Kai. The joy lasted just 10 days. Then the unimaginable happened. The child passed away, and the family shared their grief publicly. Soft words, muted images, tributes that didn't feel performative, just broken. That loss hit differently. Mourning cultural icons is one thing. Losing a grandchild is another entirely. That's not public history. That's personal devastation. The internet hasn't let that moment fade. It resurfaces again and again, as if people are trying to connect dots that don't want to be connected, searching for meaning in a sequence that feels unbearably harsh. And then, in late 2021, another pillar fell. His mother, Beverly, passed away. She wasn't just his parent.
If you add all that type of stuff up, and you'll see how the industry been built on the secret rooms.
She was his foundation, the woman who raised him, sang beside him in church, defended him when his world was unraveling. When he spoke about her death, the mask slipped completely. There was no branding, no polish, just grief. Videos of him at her gravesite, crying openly, stripped away any illusion that the persona could shield him forever. In those moments, it became impossible to deny. Beneath the fame, beneath the longevity, beneath the cultural armor, this is still a man carrying an extraordinary amount of loss, and a heart that's been bruised far more than most ever realize. People close to the situation often point to Snoop's marriage to Shantae Broadus, his high school love and longtime business partner, as one of the few constants holding everything together. But that foundation hasn't always been steady. For years, it's swung between solid ground and turbulent waters in ways most outsiders never fully grasped. The public sees polished anniversary posts, affectionate interviews, and carefully worded praise about loyalty and teamwork. What doesn't always make the headlines are the long-running rumors, talk of infidelity, the very public separation in the early 2000s, and the quiet pressure that comes.
If you look at it, they committed fraud. They committed bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything wrong.
Comes from living a marriage under an unforgiving spotlight. Those close to the couple have consistently said they worked through each fracture, emphasizing that Shantae's role as his manager added structure and balance when chaos threatened to take over. Still, their personal life has never fully escaped public curiosity. Speculation lingers about what's been repaired, what's been overlooked, and what may still simmer beneath the surface. The whispers follow them just as persistently as the applause that greets him on stage. But here's the part that rarely gets discussed openly. Making out of the streets is one fight. Enduring fame is another. The hardest battle, according to people in his orbit, is carrying the emotional weight of loss after loss. Watching those closest to you struggle, fall ill, or disappear entirely. There was the sudden death of his half-brother, who wasn't only family but also a business collaborator, gone unexpectedly in his 40s. There's the ongoing reality of his daughter's autoimmune illness, something that shaped her life since she was very young and serves as a constant reminder that success offers no immunity from fear. Sources within the industry suggest that even while he smiles through endorsements, interviews, and million-dollar deals, there are nights when sleep doesn't come easily, nights filled with regret, unanswered